When I began this channel, I thought I was telling stories of ancient China. But after 30 scrolls, I realized I was also telling my own. Each myth I researched felt less like a story, and more like a conversation, sometimes with history, sometimes with death, and sometimes with a part of myself that I had never dared to voice. Today is the day I decided to open that voice. Over these last 3 months, I've learned about rituals, myths, legends, spirituality, philosophies, stories that lead us to more than 2,000 years into the past, and still feel more real than anything around me. I want to show how those myths didn't just echo, they answered. When I started this journey, I had no idea what I was doing. I had no subscribers, no name in the community. I wasn't a professional editor. I wasn't a YouTuber strategist or a historian with a platform. I just had something I wanted to say. Yet that doubt never left me. The feeling that maybe I wasn't good enough to do it. Maybe I would just build a channel to prove to myself that I would fail, as happened in other tries. And already in the first month, I created Xuanzang's scroll and realized that he crossed empires, broke the law, walked through dust, border patrols, and blinding heat, not for profit or even safety. He did it because some truths don't come to you. You have to walk the world to find them. For me, that is exactly what this channel became. I was afraid. But if I waited for confidence, I would have never started in the first place. Like Xuanzang, I left the gate anyway. There were moments I felt like I was on trial. Still feel it sometimes. Every new upload felt like stepping in front of the 10 kings of hell, a council of invisible critics with scrolls of judgment in their hands. What I learned is that those kings don't want to ruin you. They just want to see if you will stay standing despite the weight. But even as I feared the judgment of others, I realized the harshest voice wasn't out there. It was inside me, always measuring, always doubting. When I researched legalism in the Qin dynasty, something stood up in front of me. No grace, no second chances, only rules, punishment, and fear. And the more I thought about legalism, the more I realized that's how my inner voice was treating me. I didn't edit like a professional, didn't feel smart enough, didn't have visual skills. So my inner legalist made a verdict that day. Not enough, not ready, not worthy. But I also learned something from the legalists. Even they eventually collapsed. Because no system, external or internal, can survive without grace. For 13 years I worked in the corporate world. It paid my bills. It shaped my habits. It taught me how to move quickly, play by the rules, and meet expectations. But slowly, it started draining something far more precious than time. It drained my silence, my breath, my hunger for meaning, my own beliefs. I had a slow erosion. I just stopped feeling alive. And that's when Nuwa started speaking with me. She rebuilt the sky, with her bare hands, with stone shards and molten memories. She didn't wait for permission. She didn't wait for a miracle. She worked, quietly, painfully, completely. That resonates in this channel. My own cosmic wound, and the brush I now use to repair it. Even so, there was a part of me still afraid I had made a mistake, that I was nobody outside my title, that what I had once had shelter, but now I was burning it all from the inside. At that time, Wukong passed through my mind. He wasn't evil. He was overflowing with power, with curiosity, with refusal to stay boxed in someone else's heaven. He broke rules not because he hated the system, but because the system had no room for what he really was. This channel is my rebellion, scroll by scroll. Throughout this process, I paused, just because I needed to see. During the Double Ninth Festival, ancient Chinese would climb mountains, not for conquest, not for escape, but to find stillness, perspective. Isolation wasn't shame, it was ritual clarity. Creating this channel has been a mountain. Every script is a step, every myth is a wind, and sometimes I just need to stop high up, turn around, and realize how far I've walked, but walking away doesn't mean we're free. Even after leaving the corporate world, something followed me. Habits, fears, insecurities I didn't know I had, a constant itch to check numbers, obsess over performance, the feeling that if I wasn't producing, I wasn't worth anything. One of the last scrolls spoke directly with me in that sense. Why spirits must be exorcised after battle. In ancient China, after battles, the dead were cleansed from the world so they wouldn't haunt the living. Because the soul of the soldier doesn't just die, it fragments. And if unacknowledged, those fragments whisper in your life forever. At that time, I just realized I was carrying ghosts inside me. The ghost of productivity obsession, the ghost of ego, the ghost of being measurable, optimized, and watched at all times. And there is no peace if you don't clear the spirit that once governed you. It helped me create this channel not just out of rebellion or love for myth, but out of a very real need to clean myself. Every script became not just research, it became an exorcism of fear, of who I thought I was supposed to be, of who I let the world convince me I had to become. China gave the world great inventions, and of those gifts, two stand out for me: ink and paper. The first scroll of those was the invention of paper, a plant, a process, a quiet revolution. It allowed memory to escape the body. It turned the breath of a tough into something that could endure. And then, ink. With ink, you don't just write, you declare, this channel exists because of it. This voice you're hearing, this reflection, this journey so far. It would not be possible had someone, thousands of years ago, not crushed soot and water and shaped it into something the soul could ride through time. I don't use paper now. I use pixels. I don't hold a brush. I hold breath. But what I'm doing here, it is still the same ritual. I'm writing, so I don't disappear. All of that brings me to the fact that in ancient China, rulers did not simply claim power. They had to be chosen by heaven. This was called the mandate of heaven, a cosmic contract between virtue and legitimacy. But that mandate wasn't eternal. If the ruler forgot the people, if virtue faded, the mandate was withdrawn. Power collapsed. New voices rose. I'm not a ruler. I'm not an emperor. I hold no empire. But after 30 scrolls, I understand something that has changed me. The mandate isn't royal. It's internal. It's not given by heaven. It's earned by how you live and what you serve. No one gave me permission to start this archive. No professor, no certificate, no crown. What I had was a need to speak, to remember, to rebuild. And if you're still listening, then maybe the mandate lives in you too. This was scroll 31, the first time I stopped not to tell about what I've studied, but what studying did to me. And if you've walked with me through it all, maybe something's speaking to you too. Maybe somewhere in the middle of paper, ink, ghosts, and gods, you felt it. Not a story, not a myth, but a memory that might have always been yours. So let me ask you the same questions these journey asked me. What part of your past still clings to your ankles like a ghost? What part of your life have you never allowed yourself to rebuild? What truth in you deserves ink but has never been written? What is your mandate, not by heaven but from within? If those questions make you pause, good. That is where the archive begins, not mine, yours.